In today's video, guys, I am randomizing the Premier League. This wheel has every single Premier League team's 11 highest rated players on it, and their fate will be decided by the wheel as all 220 players will be randomly put into Premier League sides. And after that, I'm going to simulate 3 separate seasons to see if this randomizer has actually made a difference in the Premier League or it's the same teams reigning supreme. And before we get started, I want to say a massive shout out to Jared HD for giving me this video idea. Now guys, to completely randomise the Premier League, I'm going to let the wheel decide which teams are going first, second, third and fourth. You get the idea. And the first team is going to be Bournemouth. Bournemouth get first dibs on the 220 players on the Premier League wheel. So with the first spin of the Premier League wheel, who is going to be first up? I can't even see that, I'll be completely honest with you. Arnaut Danjuma, Everton's player. Okay, not a bad start. The second player is going to be, I can't even see who that is. Luis Diaz. Oh my god, Nottingham Forest are going off to a great start. So far, Nottingham Forest are absolutely killing it. Can they keep this going with their third pick? Who is this? Tosin Adorabiyoyo. They've got a half-decent centre-back there. And pick number 4 is indeed going to be, I can't see their name, Romain Favia. I didn't even know he played in the Premier League. Pick number 5 is going to be Luke Shaw. Okay, so not only have they got a decent attacking lineup, they've got a decent defence now too. And pick number 6 is going to be John McGinn from Aston Villa. And next up, it is going to be, I think that's Robert Sanchez. Yes, they've got themselves a goalkeeper. Only 4 picks to go for Forest, but I've got to say they've been so lucky so far. Can they keep this going with their latest pick? Darwin Núñez, what is going on with Nottingham Forest? I honestly feel like Forest are an early candidate to win the Premier League, man. They have been absolutely smoking everything. Josh Cullen, okay, maybe not now. Their 10th pick, though, is going to be Eberiche Eze from Crystal Palace. And for their 11th and final pick, they are going to be given, who is that? Dan Burn. Okay, that's not a bad 11 players to begin with, is it? So that's one team down, 19 to go. And who is going to be the second team? Sheffield United. Okay, not doing too well in real life, so hopefully randomising the Premier League will actually help them do well. So let's see if I'm right. Who is going to be their first pick, ladies and gents? I can't even see these guys properly yet. Neto from Wolves, not a bad first option. And their second pick is going to be, I still can't see these players' names, Nicolo Zaniolo, I believe, from West Ham United. And yes, some players on this wheel are loaned. I just went for the highest rated players overall, guys, but their third pick is going to be Sasa Lukic from Fulham, if I'm not mistaken. And joining them is going to be Tottenham Hotspur centre-back Christian Romero. What a pull that is. We haven't really had any of the big boys of the Premier League picked yet. Is this going to be the first one? I don't believe it is. No, Justin Kluivert. The Blade 6 pick is on the way. They've built quite a decent team so far. Can they keep this going with Kieran Trippier? Yes, they can. One of the best players on this actual wheel. And following Kieran Trippier is going to be Jack Grealish from Manchester City. Only 4 picks remaining, but this is looking good for the Blades, ladies and gents. Can they keep this look going? Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Gabriel Jesus. The big boys are losing some of their best players early on. However, I feel like this one isn't a good one. Lucas Fabianski. I'm beginning to be able to make out some of these players' names. Let's see if I can now. I think that's Marcus Senesi from Bournemouth, and it is. As for the 11th and final pick, the Blade Sheffield United are going to get Ben Chilwell from Chelsea. And that's yet another team down, 18 to go. And I don't know what the best strategy is for this, but it looks like Liverpool are about to find out as they're the third team up for that wheel. So far, Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth got some pretty good picks. Will Liverpool be able to keep this going with Raphael Varane? Manchester United, Raphael Varane. What a start for Liverpool. It really does look like going first is the best move as they get Miguel Almiron second. The third pick, though, is going to be, I can't tell, I think that's Pedro Porro from the Bottle Jobs, and it is. So far, guys, they've got a couple of good defenders and an attacker. They need a couple of midfielders, but they gain another defender, Sven Botman from Newcastle United. One thing's for certain, Liverpool so far may not have a good attack, but their defence is probably one of the best in the Premier League as they get their first midfielder in Conor Gallagher. Gotta be honest, guys, it's looking very good for Liverpool so far. This wheel's been very kind to them as they pick up, oh my god, this is ridiculous, Declan Rice. What is going on? So far, guys, I've got to say Liverpool are looking the best team out of the three so far. Can they keep this going with Moussa Diaby? Jesus Christ, Liverpool are on fire. Gotta be honest, this wheel's treating Liverpool better than the actual board of directors. But who is going to be next? Christian Eriksen, not a bad pull for another United player as well, I've just realised. They've only got 3 picks to go though, and if I'm not mistaken, they haven't got a goalkeeper just yet, and they are not going to as they get Vinicius Souza. And pick number 10 is going to be, who's that? Oh my god, they've got Vicario. So not only have they got one of the best defences in the Premier League so far, they've by a mile got the best goalkeeper too. And last but not least, guys, pick number 11 is going to be Pedro Neto. It's safe to say, guys, after this, Liverpool are the favourites to win the Premier League now. So with 33 players off that wheel and 3 teams already off this wheel, who is going to be the 4th team to choose their team? And it's going to be Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, the wheel so far has been very kind to the first 3 teams in this randomizer. Is that going to carry on? Now, they get their old keeper back in Jose Sarr. So at the very least, guys, they are going to get a goalkeeper, and they're getting centre-back Igor, however you pronounce his name. As pick number 3 for Wolves is going to be Raheem Sterling. Honestly, you've done me a favour there because I did not want him at Chelsea. And following Raheem Sterling is going to be, who's that going to be? Martin Odegaard. That is a fantastic pull. I feel so sorry for the teams that are going to get picked last because they're going to have no bloody good players to choose from, as the next player on this list is going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin heading to Wolves. 5 picks down, 6 to go, and pick number 6 is going to be, who is that? Mark Fleck, and they've got another goalkeeper. As for pick number 7 for Wolverhampton Wanderers, the wheel is going to land on, who the hell is that? Daniel Munoz. I've got no idea what team he plays for, I'll be completely real with you. But the 8th pick on this wheel for Wolves is going to be Kyle Walker. What a goddamn pull that is. It's pretty well rounded for Wolverhampton Wanderers so far. Decent attackers, decent defenders, a couple of goalies, and they're going to add another defender to that list with Kurt Zuma. Wolves have got 2 picks to go. They've had a couple of really good players so far. They're going to get another one in Gonzalo Montiel. I believe he's a right back. I can't remember who he actually plays for though. But regardless, ladies and gents, Wolves' 11th and last pick from this wheel is going to be Aston Villa's Leon Bailey. That's a great way to end it. So far, in my opinion, guys, Liverpool have got the strongest 11 players from the wheel, but the next team up is Everton. Are they going to actually take on their rivals and get better picks, or are they going to be the first team to get shoddy luck? I guess only time will tell, ladies and gents, as Everton's first pick from this wheel is striker Callum Wilson from Newcastle United. Not a bad start at all. They've lost their striker in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, replaced him with somebody even better, and they're going to get Dwight McNeil as well. And following Dwight McNeil is going to be fullback from Manchester United, Diogo Dalot. 3 pretty strong picks so far. It's been a decent start. Oh my god, it's got even better. Mohamed Salah, one of the best players in the Premier League, is heading to Everton. Oh my god. I promise you, I've had nothing to do with this. It's been completely random. Everton fans, you're going to love me. Liverpool fans, you're going to absolutely despise me. Okay, Everton may have just become contenders to beat Liverpool to the Premier League title as they land on Willian. Almost halfway through the Toffees picks, guys. Pick number 6 is going to be West Ham United's Jared Bowen. So their front 3 is completely sorted now. What is their next pick going to be? Elijah Adebayo from Luton Town. I mean, Everton have definitely got a lot of attackers. Now, majority of the team are attackers. They need some midfielders, guys. And Jorginho, that's actually really good timing for them. Ideally, could do with a couple more midfielders and a goalkeeper, if I'm not mistaken, but they do land on Bournemouth's Milos Kerkez. With 2 picks to go, I've just checked. They haven't actually picked a keeper yet. Are they going to change that? I don't think they are, as Philippe Billing is their 10th pick. And I've just realised who is next to Philip Billing, Aaron Ramsdale. Oh my god, they've been shafted there. All the Toffees going to be the first team not given a goalkeeper by the wheel. I do believe that's going to be the case as they land on Michael Olise. Okay guys, we're now officially a quarter of the way through all of the Premier League sides, and the next team up is Manchester City, the current, in my opinion, best team in England. But before we find out who Man City's 11 players are going to be, if you're enjoying this video so far and want to see more more content like this, leave this video a big old thumbs up and smash that subscribe button. I'm currently racing Ramman to 100,000 subscribers and I simply can't let him beat me. He'll never let me live it down. So help a guy out, smash that subscribe button if you are new around here. So if my maths are correct, 55 players have been taken away from this wheel. I'm not too sure how many are left, but they freaking start with a bad one, Adam Lallana. Will their luck pick up with the second pick from this wheel? I don't think it's going to, as they get Nelson Semedo. In comparison to teams like Liverpool and Everton, this really is not a strong start for Manchester City, but it just looks like they've picked it up with Gabriel from Arsenal. They've got a couple of defenders so far and a very aging midfielder. They need a couple more attackers, midfielders, pretty much everything as they get Solly March. Who is the fifth pick going to be though? Cairo Mitoma from Brighton. That's not bad at all. We're now heading into the halfway point through picking Man City's team and they land on Michael Keane from Everton. Gotta be honest, I'm not liking Man City's chances so far against Liverpool and the Toffees, and I definitely don't like it now as they get Marvelous Nakamba from Luton Town. Man, this wheel is not being kind to City in the slightest as their next pick is going to be Sanderberg from, I think that's Sheffield United. I really could be mistaken with that. Either way, that's not a good pick. With only 3 picks to go, they need to get seriously lucky if they are to turn this around for them as they get Gabriel Martinelli. Now, that is more like it for City. I've just realised as well, 2 of the best players City have actually got from the wheel are both Arsenal players. They're direct rivals in the title race so far, and the third one's going to be Aaron Ramsdale. Oh my god, another Arsenal player. They've actually somehow managed to turn it around in the last couple of picks. Who is their last one going to be though? It's another Tottenham player, Rodrigo Bentancur. So against all odds, Man City do actually have a solid squad. So that's 6 teams down with Manchester City and 66 players gone from the Premier League wheel, and next up is going to be Arsenal. But will Arsenal's luck be better than Manchester City's? Let's find out as their first pick is actually going to be Harvey Barnes. Certainly better than Man City's first pick. Let's get that completely straight. But who is going to be their second centre-back? Lewis Dunk. And following Lewis Dunk, it's going to be none other than Thomas Kaminski from Luton Town. That is not a good pull at all. And pick number 4 is going to be yet another bog-standard player in John Egan. It was a very promising start for Arsenal with Harvey Barnes. However, it's not looking that good now. They do get Diego Carlos, so that is at least something. And pick number 6 is going to be, oh, here's the game changer, Edison. Isn't that ironic? Arsenal get Man City's keeper and Man City get Arsenal's keeper. I'm already so interested to see how everything is going to look by the end of this randomizing, but the next pick is going to be Issa Kabore. And following him is going to be Bernardo Silva. Or Manchester City and Arsenal just stealing each other's players or something. Only 3 picks to go from this wheel, and they're going to get Tottenham Hotspur right winger Dejan Kulusevski. I don't think so far overall any team's really been shafted by the wheel. There's a couple of picks left for Arsenal though, and they get Nathan Redmond. But we are now on the 11th pick for Arsenal. So who is going to be the 11th player to go to Arsenal? Christian Norgard. I really can't remember who he plays for. Now, so far, guys, we've done 7 teams. 77 players have gone from the wheel. And the next team is going to be Brentford to pick their 11. I still find it quite hard to believe that no team really has been shafted by the wheel. But that might change with Brentford as they get Joel Veltman. Not a bad start in the slightest, to be fair, ladies and gents. But who is their second pick going to be? Axel Disasi from Chelsea. So they've already got a decent centre-back partnership. As we move on to pick number 3, and it is going to be Harrison Reed from Fulham, if I'm not mistaken. Moving on to pick number 4, and they're about to land on Lisandro Martinez from Manchester United. This is what I mean, guys. No team realistically has been shafted by the wheel. They've all had their fair share of good players. And look at this, James Maddison's their 4th or 5th pick. He was indeed their 5th pick as we move on to pick number 6, and it is going to be Dominic Solanke from Bournemouth. Who's going to be next, guys? I think that is going to be Felipe. I can't remember who he plays for, though, in real life. Might be Nottingham Forest. I could be mistaken. 4 picks to go, though, and it's so far looking like a solid team as their next pick is going to be West Ham's Thomas Souček. And following Thomas Souček, it is going to be Adam Webster. I feel like that's another Brighton centre-back. They've yet to pick a goalkeeper though, so it looks like so far they're going for their second choice goalkeeper, but they've found a brilliant midfielder in Enzo Fernandez. But for their 11th and final pick of this randomizer, they are going to land on Diogo Jota. What a last pull that is. We're now approaching the halfway point though, guys. This is team number 9, and it is going to be Brighton. So let's see what the wheel gives these guys. Are Brighton going to be the first team to get shafted by the wheel, or are they going to get off to a good start? It looks like it's actually, no, that's not a good start. Anel Amadozic from the Blades. And following him, it is going to be goalkeeper Nick Pope from Newcastle United. A very good freaking pick. The third pick, though, is going to be Zeki Amdouni from Burnley. And following him, it is going to be, who the hell is this going to be? Santiago Bueno. I really can't remember who he's from. And next up on the list to get picked, it's Abdoulaye Doucouré from Everton. We're now into our 6th pick with Brighton. No real big players as of yet, but that's about to change as they've landed on Casemiro. That's quite possibly a game-changing pick for Brighton, as their next pick is going to be, oh my God, Erling Haaland, the best striker in the Premier League yet. Brighton are definitely in the title race now. They've got a very good goalkeeper, midfield, and the best striker in the game. Brighton are looking very strong right now as they get Tom Lockyer as their next pick. Only 3 spins of this wheel to go though. Their luck's been very goddamn good. They get another goalkeeper in Jordan Pickford. They're bloody spoiled for choice for keepers, aren't they? If I'm not mistaken, guys, this is pick number 10 for Brighton, and they are going to get West Ham United attacking midfielder Lucas Paqueta. But we're now onto the 11th spin of this wheel for Brighton, and it's going to land on Alexander Isak. Oh my God, Brighton are genuinely contenders to win the title now. I feel like whoever's going to be in the last 10 are going to get the rough side of the wheel, but Manchester United are team number 10 as we approach the halfway point of this randomizer. But here we go, guys. The first spin of the wheel for Manchester United, and it's going to be Christopher Nkunku. Now, that is a very good start for United. Who is going to be the second pick, though? That is going to be former United player Dean Henderson. As for their third pick, they are going to get, who are they going to get? Thiago from Liverpool. Honestly, this is probably the strongest start so far. And their fourth pick looks like it's going to be Enes Unal. I really can't remember who he plays for. And following him, it is going to be Brighton loanee Ansu Fati. So far, guys, United are looking incredibly strong as they get their actual player in real life, Mason Mount. As we move on to pick number 7, and they get Jack Harrison. And following Jack Harrison, it's going to be Heung-min Son from Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester United, man, calm down, you've rigged this. This is actually crazy what United are pulling off right now. Who are they going to get next? Brentford, Brian, and Mbeumo. That's actually a really good pull as well. And following him, it is going to be, who's it going to be? Pascal Grobe or Gross from Brighton. And here we go, guys. The 11th pick, the final pick for Manchester United, it is Paulinho from Fulham. And that leaves us with 10 teams on this wheel to go for now. Now, just a quick disclaimer. I've just gone to spin the wheel and I've had to redo this entire thing because I realized I'd accidentally deleted one of them when I hadn't even done them yet. But rest assured, it's all taken care of now, and the next team up to get their 11 players is going to be Burnley. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the last 10 teams get on with this wheel, man, as Burnley's first pick is goalkeeper Bernd Leno. I mean, there are some ballers still on this wheel, but majority of them went to the first 10 teams. So Burnley's second pick is Cameron Archer. Who's the next pick going to be? It's going to be Moussa Niakite from Nottingham Forest. And following him, it is going to be goalkeeper Matt Turner. Definitely not the best start for Burnley, as their next pick is going to be striker Beto from Everton. Now, that is a little bit better. And following Beto, it is going to be CDM from Arsenal, Thomas Partey, their best pick by a country mile so far. 6 picks down, 5 to go, and pick number 7 is going to be Max Kilman. I forgot the N on his second name. I do apologise, but it is Max Kilman. I'd argue Burnley got the weakest team so far, but they've got Douglas Luiz added to it, so maybe not. And joining Douglas Luiz is maybe a game changer in Bukayo Saka. I was wondering when he was going to pop up, but he heads to Burnley. It's insane how quickly a team's fate can change just like that as they get another good player in Mohamed Kudus. And their final pick from this wheel is going, oh my god, Virgil van Dijk. So not only have they got one of the best wingers in the league in Bukayo Saka, they've got the best centre-back in the league in Virgil van Dijk. Burnley are definitely a threat. As we move on to team number 12, and honestly, I feel like these guys are just going to get left with the scraps as we get Tottenham Hotspur, the bottle jobs, up next. Now, you guys knew my feelings on the bottle jobs. I'm really hoping that the wheel doesn't give them many good plays, but they do start decently with Pablo Sarabia. And following him, it is going to be Kai Havertz, an Arsenal player. Okay, that's actually quite interesting. I mean, he's a good player in the game, but in real life, not that good. As we move on to our third pick, and that is Edson Alvarez. Wheel, come on, man. Stop giving the bottle jobs good players. As we move on to pick number 4, and they get centre-back Pau Torres from Aston Villa, yet another good player. Now on to pick number 5, and they are going to get Wes Foderingham from Sheffield United, if I'm not mistaken. Mixed bag so far for Tottenham Hotspur. Majority have been decent, but they get Craig Dawson as well. As for the next pick, they are going to get Jefferson Lerman. Not a bad pull at all. 3 spins of this wheel left as we move on to pick number 9, and it is going to be Emiliano Martinez, one of the best goalkeepers in the Prem, in my opinion. I was mistaken, by the way. We do have 3 more spins of this wheel now, and it is going to be, I think that's another goalkeeper, Burnley's goalkeeper in Muric. Spoiled for choice for keepers, aren't they, Tottenham Hotspur, but not so much in other areas of the pitch as they get Ben Mee as their next pick. As for their 11th and final spin of this wheel, they just miss out on Ruben Diaz and get Gerbic. If I'm not mistaken, that's another goalkeeper. Definitely a mixed bag for Spurs in the end as we move on to team number 13, and it is finally going to be the time for Hammers to get their team together. So let's see who their first pick is going to be. Oh, what a pick this is to start it off. Alisson from Liverpool. That's probably the best start they could have asked for. Is their next pick going to live up to Alisson? I don't. Oh my god, maybe he will, as Ruben Diaz is their second pick. Jesus Christ. What a start for the Hammers. As we move on to pick number 3, they get Rico Henry or Mike Tresor from Burnley this time. And following him to the Hammers, it's going to be Yuri Tielemans. And the 5th person to join West Ham United is going to be Wesley Fofana from Chelsea. And joining them is another Chelsea player in Cucurella. Now over half the picks done for the Hammers. Who is going to be the 7th player to join West Ham United? It's going to be Boubacar Kamara from Villa. So far, they've got a pretty stellar team, West Ham United. Have not quite title contenders as they do get Tom Davies next. And joining Tom Davies at West Ham United, it is indeed going to be Thiago Silva as well. And the next pick is going to be, who's it going to be? Andrew Robertson, yet another Liverpool player. Not just any Liverpool players either, probably 2 of the best as we move on to the final pick, and it is going to be Rahoolion from Tottenham Hotspur. Or is he on loan right now to somebody else in the Prem? I really can't remember. But regardless, we move on to team number 14, and we move on to Aston Villa now. I highly doubt, though, that their first pick is going to be as strong as the Hammers' first pick was, but it's a decent one to be fair in Giovanni Lo Celso. Solid start for Villa as their next pick is going to be the best right back in the Premier League rating-wise, Trent Alexander-Arnold. And next up, joining them is going to be Oliver Norwood from the Blades. Pick number 4 now from the wheel, and it is going to be, who's that going to be? Joelinton from Castle. And joining him is going to be Amadou Onana from Everton. Not the best picks in the world so far, don't get it twisted, however, it's a decent start. I mean, their next play is a big one, and Bruno Guimaraes, what a pull, another player from Newcastle. 6 picks down, we move on to the 7th, and the 7th is going to be another midfielder, Alexis McAllister. And the next pick joining him is another bloody midfielder, Albert Sambi Lokonga. Have they even got any attackers? I've just checked, they've basically got a team of midfielders as it stands. A lot of second choice players are going to be into this team, but they've got their first attacker in Man City's Phil Foden. Now that is more like it for Villa. And their second to last pick is going to be yet another midfielder, this time Czech Decore from Palace. And Aston Villa's 11th and final pick is going to be Timothy Castagne from Fulham. 6 teams remaining as we move on to team number 15, and it is finally going to be Chelsea. Now I don't think going last is probably good for the remaining teams. I mean, look at this. Chelsea's first pick's Josh Brownhill, for God's sake. Who is going to be the second player? Look again, Tyler Adams, man. This ain't a good start for Chelsea. Are they going to get anybody better in their third pick? They almost get Reece James, but they get Aaron Hickey instead. Not a good start for Chelsea in the slightest, but they do get a good keeper in Andre Onana. Pick number 5, though, is going to be a former Chelsea player by the looks of it in Ross Barkley. This just isn't looking good for Chelsea, is it? So far, guys, Chelsea do look the most likely to get relegated from these picks, as the next one doesn't tell us as they get Ogbene. Pick number 7, Chelsea really need to get a change in their luck if they are to do well, and it isn't going to happen as they get Bendo Manuel. And their next pick is actually going to be a decent one, Cody Gakpo from Liverpool. Chelsea so far are probably still the worst team, but they are getting some half-decent players, as their next one is Luis Sinisterra. 2 picks to go now. Pick number 10, 10th spin of this wheel, and they're going to land on Mark Gee. Yet another time they miss out on Reece James. And finally, the 11th and last pick, they're going to land on a former Chelsea player, Kevin De Bruyne. That is actually a fantastic way to end it for them. 5 teams remaining as we go to team number 16, and it is Fulham this time. But honestly, like I've already said, I don't like the chances of the rest of these teams doing well now in the Prem. But let's see what their looks like, as pick number 1 for Fulham is going to be Alfie Doughty from Luton Town. This is exactly what I'm talking about. As we move on to the second player, it's going to be Fulham's actual own player, Andreas Pereira, if I'm not mistaken. And pick number 3 is going to be Burnley centre-back Jordan Bayer. Not many good players to begin with, as pick number 4, it's an even worse one, Mason Holgate. I know getting one good player can really change the trajectory of a team, but it's not looking good so far, as their next player is James Milner. And their next pick is going to be even worse, Tim Krul. Oh my God. Fulham, you're in the bin, lads. You're actually in the bin. Fulham need a miracle in the next 4 picks, guys. Actually, they might get it. Oh, they just missed out on Bruno Fernandes. They get Markolenko from Everton instead. Fulham are certainly relegation candidates, in my opinion. I mean, they're not getting anybody decent. They do get Ibrahim Sanga, to be fair, but that's not going to save them from relegation. Don't get it twisted, though. There's some really good players still in this world. They're just not landing on them, as the next player that joins Fulham is Issa Diop. If I'm not mistaken, he actually plays for them, or he plays for West Ham. I'm not too sure. 2 spins to the wheel left for Fulham, and they desperately need somebody good, and they're not going to get what they're after, as they get Nottingham Forest striker Taiwo. As for their 11th and final pick, it is going to be Crystal Palace centre-back Joachim Anderson. Oh my God, Fulham, you really are in the bin, aren't you? But we move on to the next 4 teams. Fulham, I think, are destined for relegation, or at least the bottom 3, but next up is Luton Town. I will honestly be amazed if Luton get as bad a luck as Fulham just have, and it's not actually a good start for them either, as they got Marcus Tavernier. Next up to join Luton Town, Bruno Fernandes, already far superior to Fulham now, already. I did say there's still a lot of good players on this wheel, and this just proves it, as James Ward-Prowse is also heading to Luton Town. But they were literally millimetres away from getting Marcus Rashford. Oh, that is tough luck, Luton Town. That is tough luck. But for spin number 4, they are going to land on yet another really good player, Reece James this time. I really like Luton Town, and as a Chelsea fan, I don't mind Reece James going there, as the next player going to Luton is going to be Rico Henry from Brentford. And joining him is going to be Andros Townsend, so they got another attacker. On to pick number 7, if I'm not mistaken now. They get I think he actually plays for them in real life, Maxime Esteve. I could be very wrong in saying that, though. 4 picks to go for Luton Town. Who is going to be the next one to join them? Basuma from the Bottle Jobs. At the very least, he saved his career going Luton Town. And joining Basuma at Luton Town, it's going to be Jon Wissett, yet another Brentford player, if I'm not mistaken. 2 spins to go now for Luton Town. Who is going to be player number 10 joining them? It's going to be Richarlison, yet another Tottenham Hotspur player. And finally, pick number 11. They get a goalkeeper in Sam Johnstone. There's now 33 players left, with 3 teams teams left, and the next team up is actually going to be Nottingham Forest. I certainly think it's going to be slim pickings from here on, and there are some good players left, but not many, as their first pick is going to be Mario Lemina. And joining Lemina is going to be Fulham's fullback Kenny Tate. Pick number 3, though, is going to be Newcastle United centre-back Fabian Shaw. And next up is going to be a very, very strong pick in Rodri from Manchester City. Now, that is a game changer. Forest are looking fairly strong right now. Can they keep this bit of luck up? As they don't keep it up, they get Ethan Pinnock next. And following him, they just miss out on Declan Rice, and they get Hwang Hee-chan from Wolves, if I'm not mistaken. 5 picks to go, though, if my mathematics are correct. Probably not, because I'm terrible at maths, but their next pick's a good one. Matthias Cunha from Wolves. And next up, just missing out on Declan Rice again, is João Gomez from Nottingham Forest. And I've just this second realised João Gomez is actually staying at the team he plays for in real life, as the next pick they get is Giovanni Reina. I don't know who he plays for in the Premier League. Maybe Nottingham Forest at this point. I don't really know at all. 2 picks remaining, though. Nottingham Forest could finish very strong here, as they do get a solid player in Christopher Ajer. And finally, the 11th pick is going to be fullback from Crystal Palace, Tyrick Mitchell. 2 teams left, guys. Who is going to go next and who's going to go last? Crystal Palace are team number 19. That means Newcastle United go last. So there's now 22 players left on this wheel. 11 are going to Palace, and the first one is going to be Ollie Watkins. And joining Ollie Watkins is going to be Ben Brereton Diaz, a Luton Town player, if I'm not mistaken. It has been a half-decent start so far, and it's just got even better, as they've landed on probably one of the best players left on this wheel, Marcus Rashford. And next up is going to be Gustavo Hamer, yet another Luton Town player. And next up is going to be Odsonne Edouard from Crystal Palace. As for pick number 6, it is going to be Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from the Bottle Jobs. Palace do have a bit of potential to do well in the Premier League in this video, as their next player is James Tarkowski from Everton. As we now got 4 picks remaining, and their next player is Mats Sells. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a clue who he is, and I definitely don't know who he plays for. As the next pick is going to be goalkeeper from Newcastle United. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, because every single time I do, I just get it completely wrong. And next up is going to be another Nottingham Forest player in Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, this last spin of the wheel will decide who joins Crystal Palace and who will actually join Newcastle United. So let's see, without further ado, the 11th spin for Crystal Palace, it is going to be West Ham United centre-back Nayef Aguerd. That means the rest of the players on this wheel are going to be Newcastle United players, and they've got some good players, man. Declan Rice, William Saliba, Nicholas Dominguez, John Stones, and Manuel Akanji. So that's the randomising done and dusted. Now I've just got to sort all these players into their brand new teams for the Premier League. Now, guys, I've got to address something that I didn't pick up on until just now, but you guys have definitely noticed this. Declan Rice was just on the wheel, as you just saw, but he was selected to join Liverpool quite early on. But thankfully, I've gone through the footage, and I know we should be going to Newcastle instead of Declan Rice, and that is indeed fullback Taylor from Burnley, so we don't have to worry about anything being messed up. But as you guys can see, I've basically gone through every single Premier League side, updating their teams with what the wheel gave them. I've tried my best not to mess with the teams all that much, like formation-wise. However, I have made sure I've given each team the best chance possible. Now, as for who I think is going to dominate the Premier League, Liverpool have got to be up there. That team is genuinely ridiculous. I'm willing to bet that they paid off that wheel. But you can't write United off either. Whilst Palhinha is granted out of position, that is still a very strong side. And you obviously can't forget about Man City, man. Their team is cracked anyway, because their team squad depth is genuinely ridiculous. As for who I think is going to get relegated, Chelsea are definitely a shout, guys, because that team, whilst they've got KDB and Cody Gakpo, the rest of the team's just bang average, really, isn't it? Then you've got Fulham, who I definitely think are going to get relegated too. To be fair, if they don't finish bottom all 3 times we simulate the Premier League, I'll be genuinely gobsmacked. But I think the time for talking is done. We've randomised the Premier League, we sorted the teams out. Now it's time to see how they do 2 in action. Okay, I'm genuinely gobsmacked. Sheffield United, Bournemouth and Luton Town got relegated. If I remember right, the Blades had players like Grealish, like Christian Romero, like Gabriel Jesus, and they still didn't manage to survive the Prem. That's mental. And what's more crazy to me, Fulham actually survived comfortably in the end when they had by a mile the worst team out of the entire Prem. But as we go further up the table, Chelsea and Spurs are outside the top 6 and Manchester City win the Premier League. I did call that though, I did predict them to win it. West Ham has shocked me though, just missing out on winning the Premier League themselves. If I remember correctly, they didn't have many good players in comparison to Liverpool and Manchester City. As for the FA Cup, Manchester City also win that. But Liverpool actually end up winning the Carabao Cup, so it's the 2 teams I predicted that are basically hogging all the silverware. But no English teams won the Champions League. But it was an all-English final in the Europa League with West Ham United coming on top of Liverpool. West Ham United are balling out in Season 1, aren't they? And Brighton actually go on to win the Europa Conference League, man. So realistically, guys, England for the most part have dominated Europe, even with the Premier League being randomised. So far, randomising the Premier League hasn't made a blind bit of difference. City and Liverpool are still dominating English football, but is this going to be the case for Season 2 and 3? Apparently so, but that's not the weird thing. Take a closer look at the points that each team has registered. Not only that, look at the goal difference as well. If I'm not mistaken, that's the exact same as Season 1. Let's go a bit further up the ladder. Yeah, literally, Chelsea and Spurs finished 10th and 9th, United finished 7th, Manchester City and West Ham. Manchester City won the Premier League again. West Ham got the exact same points as well. I honestly thought simulating this more than once would give us a different result, but apparently it'll give us an identical one. But thankfully that's not the case in the domestic competitions, because West Ham beat Wolverhampton Wanderers to win the FA Cup. And this time Arsenal win the Carabao Cup, just about beating West Brom on pens. And this time City did make the UCL final, but they just lost to Barca. And this time Brighton made the Europa League final but lost 2-1 to Roma. And West Ham made the Conference League final but lost to Villarreal. So in Season 2 we basically get the exact same Premier League as Season 1, however we get different winners in the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and we do not dominate Europe like we did last year. But I've got to be honest guys, I'm hoping for a different winner in the Premier League for Season 3 simulation, man. If it's the exact same table as Season 1 and Season 2, I'll be a little bit disappointed with EA. I'm honestly gobsmacked at how lazy EA are, man. Every single team finished in the exact same position with the exact same points in the Premier League. I mean, can we even count Man City winning 3 Premier League titles, because it's basically the exact same season 3 times running? We can count domestic competitions though, because the Bottle Jobs did actually beat Man City to win the FA Cup. And Liverpool this time won the Carabao Cup as well. And once again guys, no English teams made it to the UCL final. But West Ham did win the Europa League this time. And Aston Villa made the Conference League final, but they just lost out to Marseille. That has got me curious though. I wonder why the Premier League stayed the exact same whilst we got different winners in domestic and European competitions. I've got to say though guys, it's crazy that we got the exact same Premier League table at the end of every single simulation. I'm not even talking about the winners. We literally got the exact same Premier League table. The gutting thing as well, even after we randomised the Prem, Manchester City still bloody won it, didn't they? But that's where we're going to wrap up this video guys. If you've enjoyed this and want to see more content like this, leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, help me beat Raman to 100,000 subscribers. And whilst you're still here guys, you may as well click here because this video is a banger.